But a lot of people think they can't do well because they're not big enough. It's not about being big enough, it's about being good enough. So this year, I think, all things considered, I'm healthy, ready to kick some ass. I think I'll be in between 245, 247. I'd like to be 250, but I've been winning the show at 240, basically, so size isn't the issue, of course.
All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's Right in the Power. So obviously you guys saw the photo yesterday of Phil Heath at the NPC News Online gym, Jim Mannion's gym, where a lot of fans were commenting that Phil Heath looked like a downsized version of himself, and specifically that his waist looked smaller in that photo. So shortly after that, Phil Heath posted a video on his Instagram story where he's talking about his game plan for this year actually being to come in smaller, about 5 pounds lighter than he usually does. He says in this video he likes to be about 250, but he's planning on coming in around 245. And then Phil Heath goes on to say some pretty profound things that I think are actually really refreshing to hear from a current Mr. Olympia in the modern era of bodybuilding, where there seems to be such a heavy focus on mass and getting bigger. And this is something I didn't really expect to hear from a guy like Phil Heath. And one specific thing that stands out to me from this video is where he goes on to say, it's not about how big you are, it's about how good you are. And he talks in this video about, coming in with the best lines, the best conditioning, looking like an anatomy chart. It's not about coming in big and full. And Phil Heath recognizes in this video, he's like, I already have the muscle mass needed to win the Olympia. I'm already complete enough. I've already developed my body to the point where from a size standpoint, it's good enough to win the Mr. Olympia. And the thing I need to focus on is coming in lean and coming in conditioned enough to present that muscle in the best possible way. Which is what I think all the fans have been saying about Phil Heath for the past couple years here, is that a lot of fans felt he was trying to play the size game to keep up with a guy like Big Ramy, because Big Ramy, let's be honest, he was getting a lot of hype just sheerly for how big he was. Big Ramy's not getting hype for how lean he is. Big Ramy's not getting hype for how conditioned he is. Big Ramy's not getting hype for his crazy aesthetics or his lines. Big Ramy is getting hype for being big. So a lot of people thought that caused a response from Phil Heath to try to get bigger himself and not focus on so much conditioning. So I think it's really cool to hear Phil Heath say this. And again, whether you like Phil Heath or don't, it does appear from this video he's actually listening to what the fans are saying. He's listening to what the popular opinion seems to be of him, and he's trying to make a change for the fans. And not just for the fans, for himself. He wants to bring a version of himself that's good enough to win that 8th Mr. Olympia title, but he wants to do it with a physique that the fans are proud of as well. And you can tell that from this video. So I'm going to roll the rest of the clip here for you guys to hear exactly what Phil Heath said.
And that's really cool that I can win at that weight, because a lot of people get caught up in how much they weigh. Oh, this guy's big and this and that. But the more intermediate and advanced lifters and spectators and competitors know that it's the details that bring out more muscle to the eye. When we look at pictures and even video, you're only looking at things through a two-dimension image. So it's always cool to go to a competition and kind of see it for yourself. The muscles move, and the conditioning, the separation, the fullness, balance, symmetry. And that's really what I focus on, is obviously making sure that muscles are full, but conditioning and separation are two totally different things. The conditioning of the muscle, obviously, you have the thinness of the skin. You can see the muscle actually pushing up against the skin, least amount of fat. As you get older, start developing more muscle maturity. That's when you start seeing more graininess, the striations, stuff like that. The separation is really what you see on an anatomy chart. The different muscles. That's what we're, striving for, or at least for me. You want to be a supersized, superimposed muscular anatomy chart, to where like a exercise physio major or someone like that, doctor, would go in there, go to a bodybuilding show live, and know exactly what those muscles are. and having all those muscles actually conditioned. I think that's important, to not have weaknesses. And usually the only way you're going to find out the weaknesses in your physique is by doing a diet. Usually when someone's like 10, 12 weeks out, even 6 to 8 weeks out, they're looking awesome, to where if they walk down the street, they look like a Marvel character with no CGI. But a lot of people think they can't do well because they're not big enough. It's not about being big enough, it's about being good enough. And to be good, you have to keep in mind that you have to diet to kind of see how much muscle you have, and the weak areas, you know, analyzing your strengths and weaknesses, and then be vulnerable and humble enough to say, okay, like, I have this muscle, but this is the flow that I want. This is the type of physique that I want. And like for me, like in this prep, probably 4 weeks out, probably won't have to train arms very much more, maybe 2 more times, because why do I need to do that when it may throw off the proportions of the shoulders and chest? But if I'm just so adamant about training this body part, I might detract the gains that I need to show on stage. So these are definitely things that doing cardio really helps you see. Your friends may not help you see it. Instagram may not help you see it. Competing usually does.
So that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and let me know in the comment section below about what you guys think about a men's open bodybuilding Mr. Olympia, recognizing the fact that it's not about how big you are, it's about how good you are. I really like that statement, and I really like that quote from Phil Heath. So thank you guys for watching the video. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.